how am I able to even sleep at night? Knowing that I gave all of that money and I know that it'll be years before I actually see a return on the whole amount. Yeah, I know it has been a while, but we've been busy. And it's all happening right over here at the Port of Tampa. So we opened up a trucking company called League Trucking. It's based out of Tampa, and we're doing drayage runs over there. Let's talk about the breakdown for the trucking real quick, and then I'm going to get to some of the regrets that I have, because this is a really bad market. Was this a good decision or not? I'm not just going to say, hey, it depends on your search. I'm not going to do that. I hate when people do that for the most part, but I am going to show you the regrets that I do have and the things that maybe if you're thinking about getting back in the trucking market, you would want to do as well. So first off, what did we do? We went out and we bought 2 trucks. The 2 trucks that we bought were day caps because we're not doing over-the-road runs. We are just doing local Tampa drayage right now. Now we could also do Port of Manatee. We could go over to Jacksonville. We could do any port that we really want. We are an interstate carrier, okay? We could go out of state. We just do not. I'll tell you why. I'll get into all that. Let's talk about the 2 trucks. They're 2020 Volvo day caps. I bought them used. 220,000 miles on one and 225,000 miles on the other. All right, number 2 is going to be the trailer. Now this trailer is a chassis, and if you guys aren't aware, a chassis is a trailer that containers get set on to be able to do drayage moves. That could be to and from ports or ramps. So the trailer or the chassis that we purchased was brand new. It was $47,000, a bit expensive. But it is a triaxle chassis, so we can do overweight runs, which most of the freight that we do is overweight when it comes out of the Port of Tampa. And it's also a 20 to 40 foot slider, so you can condense it down to a 20 foot or open it up to a 40. All right, number 3 is going to be yard storage with room. So we rent from a person who has a yard. We rent parking spots. Those parking spots, we have 3 dedicated spots and then 2 extra overflow spots for storage. Now, what is storage going to be? It's if we need to go get a container and then drop off that chassis and container into the yard. Now, we only have 1 chassis. So how am I able to drop that container and chassis there and then still continue to operate? Well, inside the port, they partner with a company. Each port's going to be different. I'm not going to say the name because there's just multiple different ones that you can do, and every port has a different one, but it's a chassis pool. And so as you go there, you can rent a chassis for the day if you don't already have one. So then why did I bother buying the chassis to begin with? Well, because you don't know what you're going to get whenever you get something from the chassis pool. It could be really old, really rusted, the tires are bad, you get a flat, you're on the side of the road waiting for AAA, customers upset, brand new relationships maybe ruined because you decided to roll the dice on some of their chassis. Now, a lot of times it works out and it's fine, but sometimes, multiple times, just on the brokerage side, when we hire carriers and they go get those chassis, we've had issues. And drivers complain about them all the time, saying this thing is in rough shape. And our own drivers have also complained whenever they need to rent them because we only have one. So anytime that we need another one, we do have to pull from that pool. Pull from the pool, the chassis pool. And even before this video goes out, we just got an email where one of the companies that we hired to do a run for us on drayage used a chassis from the chassis pool and they got a flat, as you can see here. And finally, our drivers. So when I created the company, I did not want to do it like traditional trucking companies do things. I do not like, hey, you're going to get paid depending on how many miles you put in. I just don't like that very much. I don't like that carriers don't have the security that I think I would want my guys to have. And so what I did is I give you a salary. Whether I have loads for you that day or not, you get paid the salary. You are paid to show up anytime that we need you to pick up a load. You need to be ready. Even if I don't have anything for you for 2 days, on that 3rd day, you better be ready to pick up a container at any time before the port closes. And right now, I only have 1 driver. We're looking for another driver for the 2nd truck very shortly, not right this second. But that driver that I have is very, very dependable, and that is the most important thing. You have to be able to trust the guys that work for you, and they need to be able to trust you. That's the best advice I could ever give anybody who wants to open a business or is currently running a business. All right, so now let's talk about why we entered trucking in a bad market to begin with. Well, first off, there were some opportunities. It's not like we were just taking a shot in the dark and hoping that something would work out. We, on the brokerage side, we had loads for 3 or 4 years from our customers, consistent, where we were doing tons and tons of volume. And when I say tons, I'm talking like maybe 80 loads a month of volume through the port of Tampa. And so, did I just start this up? Would I just tell somebody, hey, right now, the trucking market is really, really bad? In case you guys didn't know, the trucking market is really, really bad right now. Okay, trucking companies are going out of business left and right. Even brokerages are going out of business left and right. So it's really not a good market. So no, I would not tell you that this is the best time to get into trucking if you don't have already something that maybe you can rely on. All right, so that was the number one reason why we got in. We already had opportunities with current customers on the brokerage side that we were subcontracting out to drivers, carriers, owner-operators, companies. And we said, hey, you know what? It's been a long time now. Let's go ahead. We have the means to do it. It only furthers our relationship, which is going to go into the next thing here, which is we have more to offer our customers. If we are already providing them a service of over the road, well, why can't we take on some of this drayage? If we are already providing them something with vans, flats, any of that over the road, even local, even if it's intermodal, hey, this is just something else that we can offer. It helps build the relationship. When you are handling more of the modes of transportation, when you have more to service your customer, you are more valuable. That's the whole game. How much value do you as a broker or is whatever it is, a dispatcher, whatever the case may be for your company, whether you're a brokerage or you're a carrier, how many things can you offer them? How much can you take off their plate? How valuable are you to them? Maybe if you're a carrier, it has nothing to do with other forms of transportation, but the assets that you have, right? Maybe you own all of your own chassis, and on those days that the port doesn't have from the depot, they don't have any chassis left. Maybe they're all gone. COVID times, it was really tight. There were no chassis. Well, you don't have to worry about that because you have your own. That is value. And number 3 is going to be cheap equipment. Everything is on sale right now because all these companies are going out of business. It's unfortunate. I'm sorry. It's going to happen though. That's just part of business. We saved every penny during the good times so that we could make moves now during the tough times, because as soon as things get tough, things go on sale. And as Warren Buffett said, be greedy when others are fearful. And that's what we're doing. And it's the same for any business out there, okay? Whether it's trucking or whether it's stocks, whether it's whatever. This is the time. Everything's on sale. Let's get it now. The market will flip eventually and we're going to have our time. But this isn't our time right now to collect. It's our time to gain as many customers as we can so that we can collect later. And we're going to do that by buying cheap assets right now. So everything was on sale. Our trucks came, they were cheap. Our trailer, unfortunately, the chassis, like I said, was $47,000. It wasn't cheap. We bought that new, and we'll get into that. Okay, that's coming up very shortly. All right, next up, how is the trucking going? Okay, I opened up a company. I bought some equipment. I bought 2 trucks and a chassis, but how's it going? How's it really going? Well, it sucks. It really sucks. Okay, it's a bad market. There's no way to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm making a ton of money in the trucking market when it's just not true. Okay, it's just not. So it's bad for everybody. It's going to be bad for a little while. It's been bad for a little while. It's going to be bad for a little bit longer. It is what it is, but it will turn. So yes, it sucks right now. Let's talk about some of the things that are affecting it and some of the things that have affected us. So I said that one of the reasons that I got into this trucking side of things is because we already had opportunity. Had we not had that opportunity, it would have been far riskier, and I most likely would not have. I know for a fact I wouldn't have done it, okay? But what happened? Well, let's look at the timeline here, okay? We bought the trucks in December. We didn't start operating until February. What happened in between that time? The Red Sea. The Red Sea. All that conflict started happening in the Red Sea, and the steamship lines said, hey, we're not going that way anymore, or we're going to go all the way around Africa. And the customer said, okay, well, now it's going to get too expensive to do this because the rates did go up. And also, we're fearful of them going through there, and we just don't want any part of it, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to redirect those shipments to a different port by other steamship lines because Tampa was affected hard with the Red Sea stuff. that was one of the things. So our volume for the stuff coming through Tampa went all the way down from about 80 loads a month to 10 immediately before we were on the road, before we started actually hauling. Our opportunity with years and years, this concrete opportunity, went from 80 loads a month to right around 10 or less. That's bad luck. Rates are terrible. Rates are absolutely ridiculous right now. We can go in and I can show you some of the rates that are coming out of Tampa. It's not even worth doing it. I don't understand how people who have truck payments and trailer payments, fortunately we don't, how they have these payments, how they're even able to survive. And a lot of them aren't, I guess. But if you want to be a port driver, a drayman in Tampa or anywhere in Florida, probably, it's going to be really, really tough. It's really, really tough. And finally, have I seen a return on my investment? And the answer to that would be absolutely not. No. I mean, we're about 6-7 months in right now, and we're looking at probably 2 years before I see a return on my investment after getting the money back from the equipment. Probably 3 years to actually recoup all the money from that I paid cash for the trucks, the trailer, and then catch up to the salary of the driver and all the overweight permits and all the fuel and just every, and the insurance. So you know what, while we're on it, let's talk about insurance right now. How much did I pay for insurance living in Florida, having the trucks garaged in Florida, and being a brand new authority? Well, for the first truck, I paid $35,000 for the year. The second truck, I paid $30,000 cash. So that's $65,000 in cash that I spent on insurance for these two trucks, only one of which is moving right now, by the way. All right, so now let's go on down to the next thing here, regrets. Do I have any regrets? Yes. One I have is probably on the trailer. I probably should have bought a used trailer because you can get some that are just 2 or 3 years old that are chassis right now that are very, very cheap. I paid $47,000 for that when I could probably buy it for $18,000, $19,000, $20,000. Maybe a different brand, but one that is just a few years old, and let's just say $25,000 even if it's a triaxle, right? Because if it's not a triaxle, you can get some that are really, really cheap. But you got to be careful. Remember, this stuff goes over there by the port. There's a lot of salt water, a lot of salt in the air. You're over there by the beach. You want to make sure your equipment's going to last. So that is one of my regrets. I think I should have bought 2 used trailers that were about 3 or 4 years old. It is what it is, not a big deal. We're going to be buying another chassis as soon as we get another driver. But then there is a second regret that I have. I bought 2 day cabs, and I should have bought one with a sleeper. Gives you more opportunity to do loads. Now, if we do want to take a load that goes out of state, my hands are kind of tied. Yes, I do want local guys, but if they have to spend one night in a truck, just one, and then come back, even if he took a load from Tampa down to Miami, if they say, hey, we can't take him and he's got to wait till morning, what's he going to do? Get a hotel and then all the profit's gone. It was just a bad decision, I think. All right, so now knowing that I'm not making any money, I mean, some weeks I make more than what I pay a driver. For the most part, I am making money, technically, I guess. But we're so far years away from recouping all of the investments that we made, all of the capital that I put in to this company to start it. The 2 trucks, the trailer, the insurance for the 2 trucks. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I guess the question is, how am I able to even sleep at night knowing that I gave all of that money and I know that it'll be years before I actually see a return on the whole amount? And I know this is the main question that people probably have, because it's the one that I get asked a lot by just people who know that I've done it. And it's really simple, okay? And this is the most important thing. I did not extend myself. Like I said, I saved during all of the good times to be able to do this. I didn't blow it. I didn't, go crazy and buy things and expand the business at the time when things were good. I waited until things got bad and things went on sale because I knew this is something that I wanted to do. And I knew that it was going to be bad for a little while. And it's going to be worse than I thought, but that's fine because I'm not missing the money, because I knew what I was getting into. And that's the most important thing. And then I would say the second thing there, besides the money, is, was it a good business decision? We had the containers coming through Tampa for years. This was concrete. If there ever was concrete in business, this was it. Could we have possibly forecasted Houthis attacking steamship line ships, piracy? It's just really, really bad luck. It just is what it is. Could we have forecasted the Israel conflicts, which actually did lead to us getting less freight, again, through the port of Tampa? You can't control everything. All you can do is you can look at what you know, at the data of what you know. And if you make decisions based off of that, you should have no regrets. And if you make those decisions based off data and you still have a hard time sleeping when you're like, oh my gosh, did I do the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Either one, you haven't been doing this very long, or two, it's not for you. Because if you're still feeling that way after a couple of years, whenever you take chances, this is not for you. And you can go drive for somebody or go work for somebody. But it is what it is. All right. So those are two reasons why I have no problem sleeping at night. It just is what it is. I wish the insurance didn't cost so much for a sitting truck. That bothers me a bit. Like, oh my God, like, you know, should I have just bought one truck maybe? I think about that at times, you know, to start off. Now, I will say that there has been one thing that has been difficult, because we were planning on mostly doing loads for customers that we already had. We weren't really worried about this first year in business and being able to work with freight forwarders or brokers. So we weren't really prepared for that part of it, unfortunately. Now, since we don't have the freight, we have been trying to work with other freight forwarders, and it just didn't happen. Like, freight forwarders and brokers would ask us for quotes all the time, but nothing would come to fruition, because after we gave them the quote, they'd say, hey, that's a great, you can have this load. And then later, oh, sorry, you're too new. And some of you guys might be going through that too. It really sucks. Let me explain it a little bit, because I understand it completely. Fraud was up an astronomical amount last year. Okay, so insurance companies stepped back and they said, hey, we do not want to take any chances. On our brokerage company, for the first time ever in 2024, we were not allowed to actually work with companies that were under a year in business. Otherwise, we're not insured for that load. So that does make it tough. So I understand it, because it is affecting us over there too. It's not our choice. And a lot of other brokerages and freight forwarders are probably going through the same exact thing. So what I have noticed, though, is after the 6-month mark, some of these guys must be at the 6 month instead of a year for their insurance companies, which is nice. What I have noticed, though, over the last few weeks, because we passed 6 months, is that we've gotten many different loads from brokers and freight forwarders, and that's no longer an issue for some of them. I'd say about 50%. So once we get past a year, things are going to get a whole lot easier. But right now, things over the last just even 2 or 3 weeks are so much better than they were before it. So that's great news. So why am I optimistic? Well, like I just said, we passed the 6-month mark and now things are getting much, much better. I thought it was going to be a year when people were telling us no for the last 6 months, but it has been getting better already. And then the second thing is I know the trucking market. I know the freight market, okay? I know how it works, and I know that the good time is always right around the corner. And then the bad time's right around that. So you prepare for it and you wait. All right, so now let's talk about the future. So number one, probably going to buy a flatbed, 53-foot flatbed, for a customer that we already have. Again, this is an opportunity with a customer that we already have. Is there enough freight with that customer to keep this truck busy? No, not even close. Maybe just one load a week. So, and that load is local. So is it worth doing? Maybe, maybe not. We're going to figure that out. But that is potentially something that we are looking into in the very near future. Number two, trade one of the trucks for a sleeper. We already talked about that. That's going to be really good. It's going to open up more opportunities for us to do loads that are just maybe a little bit too far to make it back overnight, or when they get into a position where they get to the receiver and something happens, forklift breaks, crane breaks, something like that, well, they're not going to wait till morning in a hotel. Number three is going to be new office in Orlando in 2025. Hopefully, we're waiting for the market to rebound a little bit. We'll have a new class of brokers that come in at that time to work in office. Number four is going to be League Academy new videos. All right, so it's been a little while. So if you guys don't know, you can go to ican'tremember.com and you can click on free training to get some of the free training where I walk you guys through how to be a freight broker. Now, is the course complete? It seems like it never is because I'm constantly redoing old videos and adding new things as we go. So if you are interested in watching some of those videos, a lot of the stuff that's not on YouTube is still on there, okay? So it is not all on YouTube. About half the videos are, half aren't. So you can go over there, click on free training. If you can't remember the website, it's ican'tremember.com. Don't forget it. New videos coming shortly. And finally, for the future, we're going to be doing more videos, but less frequency. So I guess less videos, but more than the last 6 months. This is my first video I'm making in the last 7 months or so. I really do wish I had time to make more, but right now all of our efforts are going into the trucking company and obviously the brokerage and just trying to grow all these different companies at the same time. All right, so at the very end here, I'm looking over this, getting ready to finish it, release it. I keep changing more and more stuff on this video. It's like every time that I go to make a change, there's another change to be made. It doesn't matter if it is about the driver, which we're doing 3 driver interviews yesterday. I've got a couple more tomorrow. Or about the loads. Like, good news, we actually have a lot of loads coming from our customers again through the port of Tampa, which is great. So all of that's ramping back up in August. Great news for us. We're looking for 2 drivers. But the one thing I can tell you about trucking is it is always changing. Tomorrow we have our annual safety audit. So all of our equipment has to go through that. 2 trucks and a trailer needs to be inspected. It's just always something different. And I'm going to be releasing another video that just goes over all the problems that we've had. I mean, these are 2 newer vehicles that I purchased and a brand new trailer, and I've had to do repairs on all 3 of them multiple times. So I'm going to release some videos on that, all the different little repairs that we've had to do, all the costs that added up to in such a short amount of time. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe and look forward to more content in the near future.